Keith Downie, just under 10 years.
Andrew Musgrove from the Chronicle and Everything is Black and White podcast. Have been covering the club since December 2016.
Hi, it's Chris Waugh here from The Athletic, and I've covered Newcastle United since 2015.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it'll be a career high to go down there and cover a cup final with Newcastle. I have to say, if you'd asked me this question a year and a half, 2 years ago, if I'd be going down to do that like you guys as fans and doing what you guys do for the club channels, the fan channels, you'd be the exact same. You probably would never have imagined it. So it will be amazing. I think it'll probably only hit home once we're down there at Wembley on Sunday, maybe even at Trafalgar Square the night before. So look, everyone's looking forward to it. It's going to be an amazing occasion. I just think tempered slightly with what's happened today against Liverpool, the fact that it looks as though Loris Karius is going to play in goals. But listen, it's one of these things that I think you need to, once the dust settles on this tomorrow, you need to put to the back of your mind and get on with the task in hand.
Yeah, it's brilliant that it's come so quickly after the takeover, given what had happened the previous 14 years to have Newcastle in a cup final and going in as well. Not really as underdogs, you'd say that they're level on par with Manchester United, and going in with just sheer excitement, no fear. I think that there is real excitement to get down there to begin the coverage and hopefully see Newcastle lift the cup.
I'm very, very excited to cover this final. It's my first major final covering Newcastle United, and given the lows that there's been, the majority of my time covering the club has obviously been during the Mike Ashley era, and yet since October 2021 things have changed dramatically. I'll be honest, this has come even quicker than I expected it to. I didn't think Newcastle would be in a cup final this soon, but the transformation, A, from the takeover, and B, most importantly, from Eddie Howe and the players, has been astonishing, and they deserve to be there, and I cannot wait to see them out at Wembley. I have full confidence that, unlike the finals of 98 and 99, Newcastle United will go and will give a really good account of themselves, at least try and impose themselves on the opposition, which didn't happen then. It's going to be a wonderful occasion. Newcastle upon Thames, as it'll be down there, with everyone descending from the northeast and from further afield to go down for the match. It's going to be wonderful.
Travelling down on Saturday, flying down on Saturday lunchtime. I think we're going to go and do some live coverage at Trafalgar Square on Saturday night, speak to some of the fans, and then Sunday, just lots of build-up from the game, probably at the team hotel first, and then into the stadium and doing build-up, because obviously we've got the match live on Sky, so we'll be there all morning. In terms of the rest of the week, I've got quite a few things lined up this week. I've got an interview in the can with a 93-year-old Newcastle fan who's got a ticket for Wembley. He's had a season ticket for over 50 years. He's arguably the oldest fan going there, so I went to his house to do a little piece on him the other day. That was lovely speaking to him, so got that in the can. The plan is to do a piece with Eddie Howe on Tuesday. We're going out on a dog walk and we're doing a little feature with him on Tuesday on the town moor, so looking forward to doing that. Don't know where his head's at the moment after what's gone on today, but that's there. We've got a variety of other things. There's a players' open day, so a few of the players are going to be up to speak to the media during the week as well, and then just a variety of lives and build up. And I think as the days tick down, it's going to get to that point where you're like, we're almost here now. But it feels like, after what's happened here tonight, it feels like the final's still quite far away. Interestingly though, listening to Eddie Howe inside at his news conference there, he was asked about the final, and he said, look, I'm glad it's just here now. He said, look, I don't think the players have been thinking about it, but everyone's been talking about it, the supporters, us guys, and we have been. And while he says it's not been a distraction for the players, there's been talk of it in the background, and it's there. So I think he's just happy that the game is here now.
Yeah, so we've had our Wembley supplement that's been on sale in newsagents and online for the last couple of weeks. Loads of really good interviews, analysis, opinion pieces in that. I spoke to Tommy Craig, who was the last man to captain Newcastle in a League Cup final back in '76. Of course, unfortunately they lost that one against Manchester City, but it was great to be able to sit down and talk to him about his memories and hopes that Kieran Trippier, in his words, can go one better than he did and lift the trophy. And then we've got loads of special podcasts coming up. You can hear my interview with Tommy Craig on our channel. We'll have Gibbo, we'll have myself and Aaron Stokes looking ahead to it as well, and just loads of great coverage as well. And we want the fans involved with their good luck messages, and there'll be just plenty of content online before we head down to Wembley on Saturday.
We have a heck of a lot of coverage on The Athletic. Myself, George Colkin and Jacob Whitehead, my colleagues, we have been putting together a lot of pieces. There will be a tribute to each individual player going out just before the game, which is something special, which you'll see at that point. Jacob has watched back the 1955 FA Cup final, the last time Newcastle won a domestic trophy, to see what we can learn from that. He's also been to Eddie Howe's home village to find out about his upbringing, a unique take on that. We have a column coming from Alan Shearer, who's a columnist for us. Obviously, very, very important weekend for him as well, with his connection with the club. And also looking at Loris Karius and just in general at the final. There's so much coming up. I'm going down on Saturday in convoy with family members. George is doing the entire weekend, going to be at Trafalgar Square on Saturday, going to obviously be at the match, and then we'll be covering it from there with lots of coverage both before, during and after the game.
1969 European trophy, 1955 the last time the club won a domestic trophy. I was looking at the footage yesterday when I was editing the piece with a 93-year-old, and black and white pictures, and it's just unbelievable. I was actually thinking of doing maybe a feature down at the Beamish Museum, because the streets are set in 1950 down there, and take the manager or one of the players down there and say, look, this is what it was like back then. But it's you know yourself. I mean, the anticipation and the excitement in the air, I think, it's probably been tempered slightly with what's happened tonight. But then I think if you look at the flip side of that, maybe Newcastle needed that defeat. Maybe things haven't been great the last few weeks. Performance have dipped a little bit. Perhaps maybe needed that little dose of reality going into the final. And you never know in cup finals either. I mean, we're talking about Loris Karius playing. Yes, he's made those mistakes for Liverpool in the past. Yes, he's not played a game for anyone for 2 years. But sometimes cup finals just throw up these dramatic scenarios, and who's to say that won't happen? The thought of Newcastle bringing the trophy back here on an open top bus to St James's Park in the city of Newcastle in 9-10 days time doesn't even bear thinking about. It'll be an amazing occasion for all of us.
Yeah, I think when you go into the pubs, I think there's maybe a little bit sense of nervousness because it's coming upon us now, but I think people are just looking forward to it. I think some people are probably pinching themselves. Like I said, it's come this quickly. I don't think anyone really had expected it to happen so soon after the takeover, and given the slow start maybe Eddie Howe had in charge of Newcastle, and it took a little bit of time for it to get going, but for Newcastle to be battling for top four and in a cup final, I think is far exceeded anyone's expectations. And when you speak to people, there's a sense of disbelief, but there's also such a sense of excitement. And I think people are just buzzing wherever they're going to watch it, whether it be down in London or up here in Newcastle or wherever in the world. Hopefully on the day we'll all be united and pulling towards a Newcastle United victory.
I can very much feel the excitement in the city ahead of this weekend. It's a huge occasion. You don't need to look far than going along, and it's on outside shops, pubs. There's been displays everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's speaking about what are you doing for the final? How are you going to be there this weekend? And so I can feel a buzz. There is a buzz. There's been a buzz around the place since the takeover, really, but there's even more excitement about this one because it just feels like that interminable wait as it's been could just be about to be broken. Yes, Newcastle are underdogs after recent events, but I do think that there is still an expectation that they can go there and they can deliver.
I expect the club to go fairly big in terms of transfers in the summer. We've kept the powder dry in January. And I do think moving forward, the aim has got to be to get to semi-finals and get to cup finals a lot. That is what everyone wants, and that's what we as reporters want to cover. That's what you guys as fans want to go down and watch. And I think we all realise that. But even the best clubs, even your biggest clubs at the moment, your Man Cities, your Liverpools, Chelsea's, you go through times when they struggle. It doesn't matter how many good players they've got. So the chemistry needs to be right from the top. Newcastle currently have that right now with Eddie Howe. I just feel you want to just make the most of this situation while you can. And someone had said when we stood here when the takeover went through just under 18 months ago, you'd be in a cup final within 18 months, because we were talking about 5 and 10 year plans. If someone had said that, you would have bitten their hand off for it. So listen, it's going to be an amazing occasion, and hopefully with what's going on tonight, after a couple of days, they can just push that to the side and concentrate. But I just think it's going to be really interesting to see Karius play, because he's not played a game for 2 years. It's going to be it just puts an amazing sort of an amazing storyline on the final, doesn't it? It just makes it really. That's all everyone's going to be talking about all week. I mean, the manager just said in there just now he wasn't even here tonight. He was training today. So he trained today. He wasn't even here as like the third man. He was a third choice. He's a third choice goalkeeper, but rather than coming along and sitting in the stand, he sat and watched the game in the house.
You look at what they've done off the pitch. They've appointed the best people in all the positions in which Lee Charney really had to look after his own under Mike Ashley. And I think when you look aside from what's happened on the pitch, the foundations and the basis for a successful football club are there, and it's going to take a little bit of time to maybe get it consistent. But this is a fantastic start, despite the fact it has come a little bit quicker than everyone expected, I think. But yeah, this, I think, will be the first final of hopefully many to come. You know, they've proven themselves in the transfer window. I think that's going to get a little bit more difficult as the seasons go on, because you're going to have to maybe concede on attitude for maybe a better type of player, but that's a welcome problem, isn't it? And this is hopefully, like I said, the first final of many to come, and of course European football potentially next season. So yeah, what a 12-18 months it's been, and long may it continue.
I do think that whatever happens, that this is just the beginning. I don't think this is the end for Newcastle United. It may not be as rapid a rise after this as some people think. They may miss out on Champions League this season, although that's still there for the taking. Regardless of what happens in the cup competition, though, Newcastle want to be in finals regularly going forward. They want to make sure that they're competing in the top 4 regularly going forward. This is not just a one-off thing for them. And so this is to build organically. Anthony Gordon signed in January. He was a player they were looking for the summer. That is the sort of player they want to bring in. They want to be competitive. They want more Bruno Guimaraes, players like that. They want more players like Sven Botman, and to really grow and develop. And hopefully Alexander Isak delivers in that regard as well.
I think any of us who cover the North East will be the same. Then the guys who've covered it for longer than me, even more so. But yeah, I mean, listen, as you know, I was emotional when the takeover went through, because I knew it was such a big moment. This again is another huge moment. I think when the teams walk out, I think when we see the fans at Trafalgar Square, I think when we see the 30,000 Newcastle supporters in the stands and hear them sing, I think we'll all be emotional, because it's big moments. And it's thing I always say, to do my job, it's to do big occasions and go to big events. That's why you do it. You go do it for cup finals and World Cups and things like that, and that's what it's not about anything else. And it's like that for players as well. So for me, I'm really looking forward to it. Just feels weird that there's a cup final given what's going on tonight, but sometimes these things always happen at once, you know. And you know what it's like being a Newcastle United fan. It never rains but it pours. They never do things easily. So, you know, if you're to win the cup after everything that's happened against Liverpool, it'll probably be even extra special. And imagine Loris Karius' name going down in history as a goalkeeper who's got a cup winners medal after everything that's happened with him in the past with Liverpool. So yeah, listen, great week ahead, tempered slightly with what's happened tonight, but I think once we sort of get the first couple of days out of the way, I think everyone's just going to settle down and look forward to what is going to be an amazing weekend. I think even the Newcastle fans, if the team go and put everything into it and don't win, I think they can come back and say, do you know what, that was an amazing journey to the final, and it's one step on the ladder to get to the club to where everyone wants to see it. Because
I have to kind of step away from being a fan when you're covering Newcastle United, but I think in the moment, fingers crossed that they lift the trophy, I will probably shed a tear or two. I was very nervous ahead of the semi-final, the second leg especially, and at the time of recording, we still got the Liverpool game to go, so the nerves and excitement hasn't quite hit me yet. But I think after that game, it will start. The butterflies will start to go, and I allow myself a little bit of a moment's thought about going down to Wembley and what might happen. And I do get a little bit excited at that. From a journalist's point of view, it's going to be great to go down, get involved amongst the fans, see how they're feeling. But yeah, as a fan, I'm just like any other fan that's going down supporting Newcastle United, any other fan that's going to be here on Tyneside watching it. I'm excited, I'm nervous, but I'm hopeful that Newcastle can end the trophy drought that they've been on since 1969.
I usually am quite good at disconnecting the personal from the professional, and so as a journalist I'm quite good at sort of focusing in on that, but I'm sure there will be a bit of emotions. I've been to Wembley 3 times, twice to cover Newcastle when they played Spurs in the Premier League, once to cover South Shields winning the FA Vase, but I've never seen it when it's basically going to be half Newcastle United fans, if not more, and I think that will be a very special occasion. Having that partisan crowd between Newcastle United and Manchester United will be wonderful. And so I think that I will get emotional. I don't think massively emotional, but there will certainly be some point where I will look around and think, what have these players achieved? What has this club achieved? How have they managed to get here? How has Eddie Howe managed to get them here? And really think about that and absorb it. But I don't think there'll be tears. If they win it, who knows? Let's see what happens. And I can't put myself in that frame of mind yet. But if you want a score prediction, I'm going to go for 2-1 Newcastle United after extra time. That's what my heart is ruling my head on that one.